he does a lot of studying. And he went to
Rand Paul, or Ron Paul, I guess, on this issue. And he famously said, Iran is not Iceland, Ron. And the crowd.
Understanding of our financial constraints and our ability to redesign other people's countries. And what Rick Perry is doing is he's trying to get attention because no one's paying attention to him. And attacking Rand Paul's a great way to do that.
Some people
It was one of the ways that one of the ways transformed was able to catapult himself forward in Iowa when he got to the debate with Rand Paul, or Ron Paul at the time, I guess, on this issue. And he famously said, Iran is not Iceland, Ron. And the crowd went crazy because he just didn't quite get the fact. And we had people come to us afterwards and say, we like Ron Paul or a lot of this issue. So that's got crazy about foreign policy. So many people told us that was really odd. War is a horrible thing, right? I mean, the purpose is to kill people and blow stuff up.
Yeah.
It should be a last resort, okay? But you can't ignore what's going on in the world and refuse and take things like that off the table or out the top because then they know you're not serious about actually affecting change should a military option be needed.
Well, I think the world is in a place where they understand that America might blow shit up. Because we constantly do it, and we are the only country that muses out loud about who we might bomb next. Nobody else does that. Nobody goes, Syria, yeah, we might bomb you. Iran, yeah, we're still thinking about it. I mean, yeah. So I don't think we have to worry that our dick is not, long enough for these countries. But let me read you something. Dick Cheney a couple weeks ago said isolationism is crazy. Anybody who went through 9/11 or thinks we can retreat behind our oceans is out to lunch. First of all, that retreat behind the oceans thing is a little played out, I think. Okay, the other thing he said, the military must be our top priority for spending, as if it's not. Not food stamps, he said, not highways or anything else. Okay, if you add up what we spend in the defense budget, if homeland security, nuclear weapons, we spend about $1 trillion to keep the monsters away. Highways, 42 million, food stamps, 77 million. So, we have 11 aircraft carriers, no other country has any. Do we really need to spend more on defense?
I mean, just flip what Cheney says around, and then it makes sense. You shore up your country at home, and you do precisely what he doesn't want. I mean, look at the Iraq War. I mean, look what he and President Bush led this country into. I mean, the lies, the weapons of mass destruction, but they didn't do it alone. They had the corporate media with them, right? They would say weapons of mass destruction, the New York Times would dutifully write it on the front page of the paper.
Yeah.
And repeat it and repeat it. It wasn't just the networks as well, even though, the majority of the people, or at least half of them, were not for war. And this has to be turned around. Imagine taking the option of war off the table. Just for a moment, think about how would we approach any issue if we weren't going to respond militarily. It is much more difficult to wage peace than to wage war.
But we're watching. We're watching what happens when you take war off the table. The country goes, these countries are in chaos right now.
And they wouldn't be if we were doing what? Really? What do you really think that ISIS in Iraq? I mean,
look, your nation building comment was absolutely accurate, okay? We can't be responsible for all of that. We're putting security forces on the ground. Remember, this was somewhat stable. And then we left, and ISIS takes over, right? We've got all these problems going on in Ukraine and Russia. They're not afraid of us at all. And I'm not saying military action is the answer. But the thing is, we take it on the table that you have civil war.
Hey, the options out there. Look what the United States did with Russia when it came to Syria. Russia is not but together with Russia, they are taking away the chemical weapons.
The Shiite, Iraq is a Shiite majority country.
And the security forces on the ground.
Remember, Saddam Hussein was a Sunni, right? I mean, Sunni second, I can't remember it's Shiite, but he was a big kid. So every Sunni, the Sunnis got privileged. You know, they were privileged, they were people with all the top, all money, and doing all this stuff. And so that's what was going on there. So that's what happened was for this guy who won the election. And then he strolled on to win the second election and found that he said he should have won and should force it. He's like twisting everything in favor of the Shiites and that, you know, all the shit's going on against the Sunnis. And what happened was that ISIS took advantage of what was going on. They got shot, you know, they were too strict. How they know what kicked out of so they refounded in Syria. Those camps on over there, they stole, they robbed, they started getting stronger and stronger over there. And so they so stronger. Also what happened was that some of, like I said, the bad party that's around the scene, the Sunnis, right? So what happened was some of his top generals that got away, they went over to Syria to help over there. And then they used their military knowledge and the knowledge of what Iraq has where they are. And they train these people. And they said, all right, you don't like our shit, but we're going to function now. This is whole election of championship. So they go over there, they help these guys, ISIS. And what happens, they came and they brought them across the border, showing where all the weaknesses were. Went from town to town, taking shit down, and strolling on it like this week, like Twitter did. Yeah. And then they went from there, and they took over a lot of Iraq, right? And so what I'm saying, but it's not. And so what I'm saying is that this guy is like, you know, what's going on with ISIS? You know, he's not really telling the whole story. What are we going to do?
We shouldn't allow Syria to come in and take over.
It's not Syria.
Well,
That's
you're saying they were.
No. What it is that in Syria, they're having that civil war with, what's that guy's name? Not Ahmadinejad, you know, the dictator over there. And he's trying to save his country, you know. He's actually like American, you know, educated. I think he went to like Harvard and shit. Harvard, you know. And so what's going on is that he is trying to get his country back, and he's doing all right now. You know, he's doing pretty bad for a while there. But ISIS got formed out of more of the rebels coming together, and they kind of like took a niche and took over it. You know, it's like how they were trying to hijack these civil wars, these like terrorism ships that they try and hijack these civil wars to, you know, take it over and you know what I mean? Kind of like what happened was in Egypt when Egypt was going through all that shit with the protesting of the summer, whatever they call that. So what happened was that the when they were having an uprising for democracy and stuff like that in Egypt, the Muslim Brotherhood hijacked it. You know what I mean? Because they were the only organized, you know, set, and so they were able to hijack it. And that's kind of like what happened with ISIS over in Syria. They didn't get everybody, but they got a majority of people, you know, and they got those old generals from Saddam that were able to give them like, all this information on how to take over Iraq. And they went in there, they strong-armed it, and they went in there and they robbed that bank. I think that bank had like $500 million that they robbed the bank. You know, they just what they took over the town, they went in and they took the bank. So now they have a huge amount of money. You can't stop it monetary-wise, you know, because they have tons of money out there, you know. And so all this stuff's going on. This guy's just acting like awful. What are we supposed to do about that?
This was somewhat stable, and then we left, and ISIS takes over. Right? We've got all these problems going on in Ukraine and Russia. They're not
he's saying it.
And I'm not saying military action is the answer. But the point is, when you take it off the table, you have the options out there.
Look what the United States did with Russia when it came to Syria. Russia is not a friend of the United States, but together with Russia, they are taking away the control of Syria, and that took Russia's cooperation. It took tremendous diplomacy to make that happen.
Every of them.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I appreciate But I mean, Rick Santorum is a super duper Christian. And well, he is. And the Christians love Israel like nobody else. I find it very odd that the Republican Party, now that Eric Cantor has been voted out of office, has 0 Jews in Congress. They have 278 people, 0 Jews. And they're the ones who back Israel like they are King David. Does anyone else find this a little perverse that the party with 0 Jews loves Israel more than anybody else in the world? What could that be about?
Well, that's what he's laughing
It's
at,
just
you know?
Republicans, that's what.
He's making a joke.
To be honest.
He's making a joke about about the Christians trying to propagate the second coming of Christ. That's what he's making jokes about. You get that? He's like, they're basically, they man-made the second coming of Israel. After the Second World War, they supported the Jews and helped them take over Jerusalem and create Israel.
Yeah,
And they're trying to protect them a little bit because they want Christ to come back.
yeah.
That's what he's making a joke about, you know?
Well, it's true.
I don't know.
You can't make it happen. It happened.
I'm going to identify that Christians United for Israel in DC last week protest outside of
Without us,
So interesting.
without us, they would have fallen already. But we held them out. We gave them all sorts of military weapons and shit like that. We gave them nukes. We gave them all sorts of shit. They would have got crushed by, Iraq. Not Iraq, but they were crushed already by Iran
What could that?
and, Syria and all.
You know what it says?
And they're
Talk
the
about
ones
Esther.
who back Israel like they are King David.
Mordecai tells Esther, this is your opportunity to be blessed, to stay recognize my position if you step in and you help Israel. If you don't, God will find somebody else to help them in your time of blessing over.
And who's more kind of Western?
It's a Bible,
And
and
what country did they recognized?
they were in the Babylonian, Assyrian leadership, and there was a decree, an evil second in command, they needed the Jews, and figuring out a plan how to kill all the Jews in the whole Asian, the whole known world. The 169 provinces, 156 provinces, which was the whole known world at that time, and he made a decree saying, on this day, you're allowed to kill and to move on. And they made the war, and Mordecai heard about it, spoke to the queen, who was married to the king.
The thing that doesn't make any sense to me though is that even if that's true what he's saying, Babylon stood until at least 200 BC. Way after that.
No, but what happens is, for the queen, who was a Jew, who didn't have her identity, didn't tell anybody that she was a Jew, went and pleaded before the king, saying, I would not interfere with the politics or anything, except for,
Now, you work for.
I don't want my people getting
Okay,
punished.
all right, now,
I can't stand still and have them annihilated, and then the threat of me being known to be a Jew and me being killed also. You want to know your own life to get killed, I'm one of them. So, yeah. So what happens is, when that became, that's what she said, I didn't want to interfere, because what happens is, the woman interfered in politics, that's fine. Then you would die unless the king lifted up the scepter saying, what happened? You weren't allowed to enter into the throne where men were doing political discussions. You weren't allowed to enter in unless you were invited. So she entered in uninvited, and the penalty was death. Unless the king raised a scepter and say, I pardon the death, I allow this person access to me. And that's what happened. She she had to take the chance of losing her own life. You know, as I was saying, it's a big story, but one that talks, and one guy talks about it. And this is the prophetic word saying, you're in this position. Why do you think you're queen? Why do you think you're in this prosperous position? Because God knew there would come a time when the people of Israel would be taken advantage of, killed, and now you are in this position to help them. Now, if you forsake them, it's saying, it is saying that God's people are all perish. He says, you know, I'll find help from somebody else. You can defend and all destroy. And and I take that as resemblance of America. We don't stand just based on the word big and important. We stand because God has meant for us. I don't know. You see the Bible, it's like, so the big and important things are on 4,000 years now. It's like broken promises, you know, it's like little things to make.
And you should, for your good.
Well, there will be mentioned in Babylon,
visits.
or government trying to take advantage of that.
And
Kill them.
well, he is. And the Christians love Israel like nobody else. I find it very odd that the Republican Party, now that Eric Cantor has been voted out of office, has 0 Jews in Congress. They have 278 people, 0 Jews, and they're the ones who back Israel like they are King David. Does anyone else find this a little perverse that the party with 0 Jews loves Israel more than anybody else in the world? What could that be about?
You know, it's no secret Republicans have a demographic problem, let's be honest. I went to a Kuwait at Christians United for Israel in D.C. last week. Protest outside and went in an event. So interesting was, I've never seen a more diverse crowd. Young, old, black, white, Hispanic, Asian. I was blown away. The people on stage, white men. And I was like, this is the problem. You've got a crowd full of people that you can actually bring some to your tent, but you're still going to throw the stiff arm up, and it's going to be all white men talking about it. It just blew me away. Totally missing what we're trying to accomplish.
So what do you do about that?
You put some more people that are diverse, that have different colored skin than you, different nationality than you, different race than you, up on the stage, and give them a seat at the table. I don't understand the light. Look, I work for Huckabee too. The guy got 50% of the black vote in Arkansas, 50% in statewide election. No Republicans come close to that. He did it twice, and that's what Clinton working against both times. The reason is he goes into their communities, not just in election years, but all the time. What can we do for you? And he's a good politician.
All right.
And a super Christian.
So it's time for our local district update. Final 4 representatives. Will be announced in our September 12th Washington DC show as a loserest loser of all. Last week, Blake Farnell of Corpus Christi was the second to go on board. This week, our loser congressman is a congresswoman. It's Renee Albers of North Carolina's 2nd District. Wow. She's running against Clay Aiken and talking like Todd Aiken. Here's what this genius said this week. Last week, men do tend to talk about things on a much higher level. We need our male colleagues to understand that if you can bring it down to a woman's level, and when everything that she is valuing in your life, that's the way to go. What? A woman's level? Has she met Louis Goldberg? So welcome to the Final 4, Renee Albers. One more week till our summer break. One more month to go. So FlipItDistrict.com or hashtag
Right.
But until we do, I just want to show this is the book called The Places You'll Go. You know this book, it came out in 1990 and it is still number 12 on the bestseller list. They handed out at graduations. Well, they came out with one now. I guess they channeled Dr. Seuss for the kids who are coming over the border. It's called Oh, the Places You'll Go and Get Kicked Out of. I'd like to read a little of it to you. Now, if I may. Howdy there, partner. Today is your day. You made it to Brownsville. Now, please go away. You had dreams of Miami. You had dreams of Chicago. One day you thought, I'll wash dishes at Fargo. You thought our arms would be open, our streets would be gleaming. Instead of that, you got teabaggers screaming. The teabaggers say, it's not that we're monsters and that we don't care. It's just that God put us here and God put you there. And just because you're here, don't think that you beat us, because we don't love kids unless they were fetus. So cut us some slack, turn that frown upside down. It's not our fault you're a little too brown. But I say, welcome to America. We could use some of your grit. You get used to Republicans, they're just full of shit. So be careful out there, or immigration will catch you, and remember to never believe what you read on the statue. Alright, let's bring out Neil. He's an astrophysicist at the American Museum of Natural History and the host of Star Talk Radio on the Fox National Geographic series Cosmos, the Space-Time Odyssey, the greatest show on television ever. God, a standing ovation for a scientist.
It's an ovation for the universe.
No, I'm not kidding. That is the best show I've ever seen. I love that. Cosmos, did you watch Cosmos? That tells me they didn't actually watch it, they just know it's good. They heard about it. No, but it is good. And you know, that's coming from a guy who's not a science person.
That's all right. It's a show for people who
Right, and it's for people who, you know, I hear it and I absorb it and then I try to tell other people and it just comes out awful.
Yeah, no, so that's okay. That's okay. As long as it's, you start to feel it. And then you might, you know, read the video or buy a book or it puts you on a path towards science literacy.
One thing I love about it is that at almost every episode they weave the story of a certain scientist who discovered something amazingly fundamental. And it just taught me this very interesting fact. There's literally, maybe not a handful, but a few dozen people, scientists all, in the history of our planet, who have discovered everything that there is. And every other billions of people have just glommed onto that, or else we would be sitting and rolling up balls of dirt and eating straw.
Yeah, that's it. That is accurate.
Isn't that accurate? It's really about how many
civilization. If you read history books, you think civilization pivots on what conquerors did, or leaders, or politicians. And civilization, as we have come to know it and understand it, pivots on the work of singular people who have preceded us, that have changed the course of how we have interacted with the laws of nature.
Right, and allowed us to, we would be on television. Yeah, we'd be wiping our ass apart. Okay.
So we use leaves.
So, yeah, of course, if you're smarter than the rest of them. And that's the problem. I mean, look at this. This is this week's National Review, and there you are on the cover. Smarter than them. I mean, because I heard it twice, and I mean, they already don't like you. I think the reason they don't like you is you're a scientist and a black one. Who's smarter than they are, so, you know, it's terrible. It's like Obama, you know, a black person taking a white person's job by being better at it. How dare it, you know? What are they getting at you? What's the point?
There appears to be some jealousy that the nerd set, the geek set,
right,
tends to vote Democrat, and I think they want some of those geeks. That's my sense of this.
Okay, I didn't get it. But
right now, Comic-Con is going on San Diego. Let's go and take a show of hands. How many vote Republican Democrat?
Hey, I'm home. I can't believe it.
How like that?
Good. We're doing good.
Somebody cooking, I see.
Pizza tonight.
Wait, it's got plenty of vodka in there. You all heated up.
Pizza, man.
Look at me.
Yes.
I'm eating big tonight. Oh, man, he's man. Yeah, man, it's hot. It's hot. I know, I walked all the way down to Handy Pan Street today.
How'd you walk down the head?
Well, I ate exercise and we needed coffee creamer.
That life is brand.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, so that was my walk. Then I got lost on the way back. I had to pull the GPS out.